evolution. So what is that?
Right. So, at its most elemental, theistic evolution is this idea that now, when we say evolution, of course, we have to distinguish between two types, right? There's macroevolution and
Mhm,
there's microevolution. Microevolution is what we see all the time in, say,
mhm,
mosquitoes, or not, I'm sorry, moths. Moth wings can change color based on the environment that they're in.
mhm.
Basically, the best species to survive, or let me say that again. Uh, the most fit to survive will survive, and those genes will be passed on.
Mhm.
Macroevolution argues that all life on Earth descended from common ancestor.
Mhm.
So we're all in some sense related. And that's a problem, at least young Earth and old Earth creationists would argue that that's a problem in regards to God creating it, or the biblical story of creation. But theistic evolution would say that evolution is the mechanism through which God created and how we got to where we are today.
So it assumes evolution.
Correct.
So whereas old Earth creationism doesn't necessarily do that. It may buy into some evolutionary ideas.
Mhm,
After all, the age of the Earth would be one,
mhm,
but not necessarily macro. So micro and macro. Micro, virtually everyone holds on to that. It's observable changes.
mhm.
The finches is a classic example that comes to mind.
Right.
The size of the beak is determined by its access to food. Does it need to be longer? Do you dig deeper? So on and so forth. Macro evolution is we start as a single cell amoeba, and over billions of years we become intelligent humans, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's an evolution across species.
Mhm.
So it's not that we come from monkeys, but that we and monkeys have a common ancestry. And so that's that issue of species really
Mhm.
sets macro away from micro. Okay,
Correct.
so theistic evolution, they adopt hook, line, and sinker.
Actually, I do want to point something out. There is a difference between species and kind.
Okay.
So we can see different species forming, because all a species is just two organisms that are able to breed with one another.
Hmm.
So we've seen like new species of fruit flies being able to form. That's very different from, say, a kind, which is what a creation term. God
Yeah.
created everything according to its kind. So
Yeah.
I always tell people to distinguish between that because we do see new species forming all the time.
Hmm.
But there is a limited amount of information in the DNA,
Yeah.
and that information pretty much stays the same,
Right.
if not decays over time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's helpful. Thank
yeah,
you. So theistic evolution, but it's theistic.
correct.
So what is the theism?
Mhm.
And how is that different from just a secular scientist who just holds to evolution and Charles Darwin? So what is the theistic evolution and just regular naturalistic evolution?
Yeah, so honestly, it depends on who you talk to. But generally, the idea is that God does exist, and God used evolution to create. So God created. Some theistic evolutionists will take a view that God was very active in the evolutionary process. Some of the more popular theistic evolutionists will argue that there were multiple species of humans, and that one of those species was taken up and made into the image of God. And so that would be where we get the Imago Dei from, being made in the image of God. A lot of theistic evolutionists, and this is actually a real point of tension today in the intelligent design movement, which of course is the movement sort of against this godless origin uh, explanation. There's sort of a tension right now between those who would say God is very much active and those who would say, well, yeah, God's there, but I don't want to say anything about his role in
Mhm.
evolution. But generally speaking, when somebody uses the term theistic evolution, they mean that evolution is the mechanism through which God created all of the life that we see today.
Okay. So a naturalistic evolution would, for the most part, be uncomfortable with the talk of God's involvement.
Mhm.
It's just a natural process. Big bang, we crawl out of some sort of swamp. Somehow we got those legs. Um, Theistic evolution would say, well, yeah, the Big Bang caused because God made it cause, and then but it's still evolution, right? So okay, I see the difference.